Hello and welcome to Bones Knows Week in Review, we're currently calling it. I was gonna call it Stuff in Review because that's Sir, which is a fairly good shorthand, but also it's not very good to say. Hi, welcome to Sir. It just doesn't. Yeah. So, we'll come up with something better. This is our, sort of weekly, what happened last week, what's going on over the weekend, and what's going on.
Bro.
Jez is with me.
Hello.
It's a Monday morning. We're bright and early, and it's it's been a good weekend.
It has, yeah.
We played a lot of video games.
We did.
It was very good. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just going to say it was very good, and some aliens may have died.
Quite a few, yes.
So let's start with things that are relevant to us. Podcast news.
Yep.
Dan Carlin posted something last week. He said two things. By the end of the month, we're going to have Supernova Part 3, which for those that don't know, hardcore history, probably the greatest podcast ever created. Dan's been making Supernova in the East, which is the Second World War before and after. Or is it second? It's sort of the whole period of the world wars, but from the Eastern point of view that we don't always hear over here, right?
Yeah, because essentially I think the Japanese, from what I'd see, Japanese history might not necessarily see it as the Second World War.
Quite, because it begins with the Chinese conflict begins way before that, so it's it lays out differently. But it's a really cool story, and even if you've studied history in fair depth in the West, you may not have heard a lot of this shit from this point of view. So I'll get into it. But he's been making it for nearly 2 years now, and finally we've got the third part this month.
Yeah,
paired with Dan's book. The End is Always Near, which is about apocalypses and potential near-end experiences of humanity throughout time, and sounds fucking awesome too.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Audiobook read by Dan Carlin, obviously. I bought the book, but I don't see myself reading it. It's just a shelf book, and I'm going to listen to it because it's Dan. It would seem silly to read a book read by the best voice actor or one of the best voice actors around.
Yeah, why am I going to pretend to do Dan's voice in my head when I can just listen to Dan's voice instead? Yeah,
quite. But very exciting month. I think the book is out on the 1st of November, I believe, or the 31st of October. It's end of this month, and the podcast, we don't know, but before the end of the month. So any day now, maybe even before we finish recording. Who knows?
Ooh,
I'm not hyping you on something I don't know. But yeah, congratulations, Dan. Welcome back to the fray.
Yeah.
In other podcast news, one of our podcasters at GL Pro, Phil Treadwell, mortgage marketing expert. If you are in the mortgage biz and also need to know about marketing, there aren't very many people to listen to, and Phil's the best of them.
Yeah.
He had the privilege of going to be on Gary Vaynerchuk's show this week.
Yeah.
Which is big things. Gary V's been on Rogan, because he's good on LinkedIn, basically. That's impressive. He's also a very successful businessman, for those who don't know who he is. But I like to joke that he's so good on LinkedIn that he made it onto Joe Rogan. But yeah, Jay flew over there with Phil to New York and went to the Vaynerchuk Media. Sounded like really good fun. The episodes on Mortgage Marketing Expert and on our internal stuff will be coming out over this week on the various social platforms. But do go and check out Gary. Go and check out Mortgage Marketing Expert and Gary V, because if there's ever anybody who what they say seems to have a tangible result online, Gary's positioned himself in such a way that it just sort of doesn't matter what he says anymore. He's made himself the guy that people listen to, right?
Yeah, he's almost like the social media influencer. I know that social media influencers, they're a thing, so it's hard to determine, but he's almost the one where...
He sort of sets the standard for being an influencer, right? But from a more business perspective.
And almost he has so much influence that if he says, TikTok's up and coming, then TikTok will be up and coming.
Will move. Yeah. Even if it's only temporary, but he has he's done a very good job of positioning himself in such a way that he has a genuine effect on both social media and the markets. Very interesting guy. Very much recommend listening to, checking him out as a general level. But yeah, this week he's ours. So yeah, that is good fun. That is, I think, the end of podcast news this week. Oh, other than Galazzo's back for English Italian football fans, which are millions, but between the age of we were discussing earlier, a very small. There is a very distinct age gap that football Italia appeals to, right?
Yeah, if you watched it, if you loved Italia 90, if you grew up wanting to,
And
watch
Football Italia
Ronaldo
on
at
Channel
Inter
4,
or
yeah.
Del Piero at Juventus, then that's for you.
So yeah, all the guys. Oh yeah, to all the guys over at Muddy Knees, thank you once again for giving us Galazzo back. On to other news, which is, I guess, both Twitter news and sports news combined, as everybody's heard, I'm sure. Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy have been having some fun on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know much about this?
Not loads. It's slightly out of my wheelhouse insofar as it's the celebrity part of it. And I think it's definitely Rebecca Vardy's account that she was having beef with,
And
not Rebecca Vardy.
Legally, we should say that because Colleen certainly did made the point of saying so. There's two things. So, for anyone that doesn't know, quickly, Colleen Rooney's had a bunch of her private Instagram stories leaked to the Sun over the last few years. She decided she was fed up with it and she didn't want it to go on anymore. So she's been Wagatha Christieing it and basically blocking everybody except one person at a time until she's figured out which account has been, and then putting out fake stories, waiting for them to appear in the Sun, and then figuring out which account it was. And by the end, she figured out it's Rebecca Vardy's account.
Yeah.
Rebecca Vardy then responded by, why didn't you just fucking tell me? We could have figured that out. Definitely not me. I don't need your money. Anyway, the two things that struck me as most interesting about it is, one, people have been saying, this is the biggest Twitter storm in ages. It's it's this, But as far as I can tell, there's two messages. One that was a Instagram message and one that was a reply on Twitter. Or maybe it was vice versa. I don't remember which way around. There's no spat. There's no back and forth spat. So people, while it's funny and it's interesting, it's not true to say that it's one of the biggest Twitter spats in history because there's no spat. It's two messages.
Yeah.
Right? Unless I'm missing something.
I think you're totally right. Yeah, there hasn't been a huge back and forth or anything like that, but I think it's there's been an accusation.
It's a serious accusation.
Then a denial, and you're now in that legal
50-50
limbo
zone.
of...
Yeah. And lawyers have clearly read both of those before they've been sent out, right?
Yeah.
My second point is that the MLS has just finished, or certainly normal season has, and I'm not sure if DC are in the playoffs, but Rooney's due back in the championship at Derby in January. Now would be about the time to start hyping up the Rooney train. And I find the timing of Colleen's announcement interesting. That's all.
Yeah, I think you definitely...
From a PR perspective.
Yeah, and, are you trying to... You've just moved to America. You've had a year and a half of way less social media or media intrusion in your life because you're not quite as big a celebrity out there, and you're trying to lay the groundwork for that to be a bit more like it when you come back home because you've really enjoyed it maybe a little bit.
And I mean, I wonder whether, because they have been quite high profile out there, even though they're probably not as well known as they are over here.
Yeah.
So I wonder which way that actually plays, but certainly he's had an excellent effect on the team over there. And I'm quite looking forward to seeing him in the Derby side. I have to be honest. I'm intrigued. Yeah. And, with Philip Cocu not necessarily doing that well, Rooney could be Derby manager by the end of the year. Or the end of next year.
Yeah, player manager, something like that. Yeah, definitely.
Let's see how that goes. That leads us nicely on to England losing. From Rooney to England losing. First qualifying loss in 10 years. We don't need to go too deep into it, but that is news in itself. I mean, it was fairly dismal by the look of it. We scored a penalty and had fairly no chances and saved a few.
Well, we've just seen highlights. We were out at the Football Ramble, weren't we? So we went to the live show.
Ramble Force, ho!
Yep, ho!
We support other podcasts.
Definitely. Yeah, Football Ramble is fantastic. So that was thoroughly enjoyable on Friday night, but from the highlights, it did look like effectively we didn't defend particularly well, which isn't a surprise with Michael Keane at the back, because the last game he played, he looked a bit shaky as well.
And even Harry Maguire after the game said he's lacking confidence, which is not a massive surprise given the run of games he's had recently. Not that he's been particularly bad in them, but there's just a lot of losses in there.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Man United player now. There isn't much confidence going around, is there?
So, we'll see what happens against Bulgaria on Tuesday, I think that is. However, it's made it interesting. I was saying last week, if they wanted to walk off against Bulgaria, it would be fine because we never drop points in qualifying, so you can sort of forfeit those 3 points for the sake of making a point about racism. I wonder how they feel about that, having dropped 3 points.
Yeah. Well, it's forfeiting 6 essentially at this point, isn't it? It's kind of.
I know that's a cynical way to look at racism, but I do wonder how much that would play into the minds of some, if not all, of the players when they're thinking about walking off. I mean, Tammy Abraham, when he said that, we were like, haven't lost a qualifier in 10 years. It's a sort of nothing game. I wonder if that plays into his thinking at all or not.
Yeah, I mean,
it probably shouldn't.
It probably shouldn't, but
in footballing terms, it has to.
Yeah, only naturally. I mean, what's your greater desire? Do you want to go to a World Cup or a Euros or something like? When you kind of that's in the balance. Do you slightly put up with something?
I suppose. Yeah, that's a good excellent way to put it because there is a Euros at the end of the year, right? As well. The Bulgarian manager accused England of being racist. Touche, sir. Touche. I didn't read the rest of the article. I just saw the headline. But to close the day, there was a UFC event over the weekend.
Yeah, who was fighting? I have not seen.
The headline event was Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Michelle the Karate Hottie Waterson. I didn't watch the entire card like I normally would because we were busy playing Stellaris, but I did watch the main event this morning. Joanna won a decent points victory, I would say. It was a decent fight from what I saw. Joanna's called out Zheng Zhisheng, I can't pronounce her name, the Chinese lady who is the champion at that weight class, which should be an interesting fight. But Michelle had a couple of chances. She got Joanna's back a couple of times where if she just cinched that body triangle, and Michelle Waterson's legs are so big, right? And I wonder whether it's just that they're so big that she can't cinch a body triangle properly because getting your legs round somebody is tougher. But Joanna's so little, right? If she'd managed to, she could have just squeezed her to death. Like, I was looking at it being like, just come on, try and cinch it. You might not even need to choke her out. She might just die. But no, Joanna won in the end on points. She was making Michelle bleed quite a lot. But so it was, I think that was, I didn't see the point. I think it was unanimous. But good fight all the same. Joanna's back in action by the look of it.
Yeah.
And,
coming to reclaim a title.
And able to switch weight divisions to a degree. So should she go and beat Zhisheng, and she could always, that's not her name, I've completely forgotten her name, the Chinese lady who's the champion. I could see her calling out Shevchenko and having a title unifier potentially, even though she's lost to Shevchenko before out of weight class. But I wonder if there's a catch weight or one goes the other. They're both quite versatile in terms of weight. So that would be interesting.
And now, would she be the first female two-weight champion?
No, because Amanda Nunes already has that.
All right, fair enough.
She's a boss.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah. Speaking of scary, no, that's not a good segue. Anyway, let's end the show there. We will be back next week for Week in Review, but it's been fun. I'll see you all later. Yes?
Bye.
Oh well. Ciao.